Daniel, chapter 5. Belshazzar the king has made a great feast to 1,000 of his great men, and before the 1,000 he is drinking wine. Belshazzar has said, while tasting the wine, to bring in the vessels of gold and silver that his father Nebuchadnezzar had taken from the temple that is in Jerusalem, that the king may drink with them, and his great men, his wives, and his concubines. Then they have brought in the vessels of gold that had been taken out of the temple of the house of God that is in Jerusalem. And the king and his great men, his wives and his concubines, have drunk with them. They have drunk wine, and have praised the gods of gold, and of silver, of bronze, of iron, of wood, and of stone. In that hour fingers of a man's hand have come forth, and they are writing in front of the lampstand on the plaster of the wall of the king's palace. And the king is seeing the extremity of the hand that is writing. Then the king's countenance has changed, and his thoughts trouble him, and the joints of his loins are loosed, and his knees are striking against one another. The king calls mightily to bring up the enchanters, the Chaldeans, and the soothsayers. The king has answered and said to the wise men of Babylon, Any man who reads this writing and shows me its interpretation, he puts on purple, and a bracelet of gold is on his neck, and he rules third in the kingdom. Then all the wise men of the kingdom are coming up, and they are not able to read the writing, and to make known the interpretation to the king. Then King Belshazzar is greatly troubled, and his countenance is changing in him, and his great men are perplexed. The queen, on account of the words of the king and his great men, has come up to the banquet-house. The queen has answered and said, O king, live for all ages. Do not let your thoughts trouble you, nor your countenance be changed. There is a man in your kingdom in whom is the spirit of the holy gods, and in the days of your father light and understanding and wisdom, as the wisdom of the gods, was found in him. And your father, King Nebuchadnezzar, chief of the scribes, enchanters, Chaldeans, soothsayers, established him, your father, O king, because that an excellent spirit and knowledge and understanding, interpreting of dreams and showing of enigmas, and loosening of knots was found in him, in Daniel, whose name the king made Belteshazzar. Now let Daniel be called, and the interpretation he shows. Then Daniel has been caused to come up before the king. The king has answered and said to Daniel, You are that Daniel who is of the sons of the expulsion of Judah, whom my father the king brought in out of Judah? And I have heard of you, that the spirit of the gods is in you, and light and understanding, and excellent wisdom have been found in you. And now caused to come up before me have been the wise men, the enchanters, that they may read this writing, and its interpretation to cause me to know, and they are not able to show the interpretation of the thing. And I have heard of you, that you are able to give interpretations, and to loose knots. Now behold, you are able to read the writing, and its interpretation to cause me to know. Purple you put on, and a bracelet of gold is on your neck, and you rule third in the kingdom. Then Daniel has answered and said before the king, Your gifts to yourself, and give your fee to another. Nevertheless, the writing I read to the king, and the interpretation I cause him to know. You, O king, God most high, a kingdom and greatness and glory and honor, gave to your father Nebuchadnezzar. And because of the greatness that he gave to him, all peoples, nations, and languages were trembling and fearing before him. Whom he willed, he was slaying, and whom he willed, he was keeping alive, and whom he willed, he was raising up, and whom he willed, he was making low. And when his heart was high, and his spirit was strong to act proudly, he has been caused to come down from the throne of his kingdom, and the glory they have caused to pass away from him. And he is driven from the sons of men, and his heart has been like with the beasts, and with the wild donkeys is his dwelling. They cause him to eat the herb like oxen, and by the dew of the heavens is his body wet, until he has known that God Most High is ruler in the kingdom of men, and whom he wills, he raises up over it. And you, his son, Belshazzar, have not humbled your heart, though all this you have known. and against the Lord of heaven you have lifted up yourself, and the vessels of his holy house they have brought in before you and your great men, your wives and your concubines, are drinking wine with them, and gods of silver and of gold and of bronze, of iron, of wood, and of stone, that are not seeing, nor hearing, nor knowing, you have praised. And the God in whose hand is your breath and all your ways, him you have not honored. Then from before him is the extremity of the hand sent, and the writing is noted down. And this is the writing that is noted down: numbered, numbered, weighed, and divided. This is the interpretation of the thing. Numbered. God has numbered your kingdom, and has finished it. Weighed. You are weighed in the balances, and have been found lacking. Divided. Your kingdom is divided, and it has been given to the Medes and Persians. Then Belshazzar has spoken, and they have clothed Daniel with purple, and a bracelet of gold is on his neck, and they have proclaimed concerning him that he is the third ruler in the kingdom. And that night Belshazzar, the king of the Chaldeans, is slain, and Darius the Mede has received his kingdom, when a son of 62 years.